with the students. They have a double block of math, which has some RTI or intervention enrichment time built in. 7th grade, 18%. 8th grade, 13%. So across the board, we were able to pretty much or pretty closely meet our rate of growth for students that we had set. Our second SMART goal was trying to expose students to authentic learning experiences. We were able to do this through our Future Educators program, which is no work of my own. It is the work of teachers and our librarian, Jessica St. Peter, where we took Future Educating, which is an elective, to another level. Not only did our students support the teacher and students in the classroom, they were also assigned another student to peer mentor. So they were a check and connect for students throughout the year. We had the Syracuse National Grid trip, which was put together by Dr. Berlinfi. Our students and staff raved that that's the best field trip experience that they had been on. They got to go up to Syracuse University and tour some of their facilities while working through STEM investigations and collecting data. We have the Micron Chip Camp. We have Camp Tululi, Wonderworks, the Syracuse Mets Education Day. And then this year, our 8th grade students who were on our ELA Honor Society went to the U.S. District Court Outreach Program, where they got to sit in the courts and hear from some of the DAs and lawyers that were presenting cases. So without our PTO, we would not be able to do any of these events because all those do cost money. So we're very appreciative of our South Quad PTO. As far as mental health, wellness, social, emotional, we set our goal of 80% of kids who would not be on the BIMAS in the fall would be off by the spring. And as you can see, we hit 78% were off. So again, that is not anything that I've done special. That is our counselors, our social worker, our school psych, who take the time to do check and connects, to have lunch bunch groups, to have parents come in and meet with them to talk about how we can support their student at school. The one area too, I talk about Smart Pass. If you don't know, Smart Pass is a digital pass system. We can track students throughout the day. We can track how much instruction time is lost. We can block kids from going with other students to meet up during the day. So it's actually been very impactful. And I believe the 4 of us felt that that's a big reason as to why our discipline is down. And if I could put another plug in for Smart Pass, this year we were able to help identify a student. Mr. Nolan talked about it early on to the district, but we were able to identify a student that was going through kind of a health crisis. And through Smart Pass and tracking when the times aligned to the health crisis, she was able to go out and get help, and we were able to notify the family, and now she is back and ready to go, just like every other child. So Smart Pass for Chestnut Hill, at least, I won't speak for my colleagues, has been very beneficial in helping us keep our discipline down.
Hi, I'm Joe Musey, principal at Liverpool Middle School. I'm the old guy in the group. Our Ames Web, if you look at our data, we improved by 26%. 7th grade, we improved 5%, and in 8th grade, 10%. I will say, one of the things that we were able to do is, what we're most proud of in our building is, we were able to move a number of students from what's called the Tier 3 support down to a Tier 1 support, where they get it through the academic advisement, where they can work with the students either individually or in small groups. And the teachers are supporting the skills through what they're teaching in all their classes. So we're very proud of the fact that we've been able to move that and decrease the number of students that are that needed Tier 3 support. As far as the iReady math, 6th grade, they did a phenomenal job, 32%. 7th grade 12, and 8th grade 21%. I will say, and looking at the data, I was kind of confused why the 7th grade was lagging behind the others, but that's because 27% of our 7th graders are in an accelerated math class, so they're a pretty bright, mathematically tuned group, so they do a good job. As far as authentic learning experiences, I'm not sure if you're aware, but LMS is a national tree campus. And one of the things that we did is we had our students, over the last 3 years, we planted 4 trees on our campus. The last one we did this spring, which was about a month ago, we actually registered it with New York State, because New York State has this program where they want to plant 25 million trees by the end of 2025. And so we downloaded the app, we snapped a picture, and we're actually on the state website as one of the 25 million trees. Some of our students went throughout the village of Liverpool and assisted the village in planting trees that align the streets in the village of Liverpool, and they donated their time to do that. So we're really big on authentic learning experiences. We had Clear Path for Veterans come in because it was close to Veterans Day, and we wanted them to understand why there was a need for service dogs. And so we had the trainer come in and explain how she trained the dogs. She brought a dog in she was currently training, and then one of the things we had the students do was once the presentation was over, we had them write thank you letters to the veterans, and we sent them up to the VA, we sent them to Clear Path, and we sent them to a couple of American Legions for Veterans Day. We also sent our kids up to Syracuse for the STEM of Sports Academy, and they just absolutely loved it. They thought it was one of the best trips that they've ever been on. I think it might have had to do with the Chick-fil-A that they got for lunch, though, too. So, as far as mental health, this is where we struggle. This is where there are a lot of hurting middle school kids. And anytime we can provide them with the mental support, mental wellness, through our counselors, through the school psychologists, through the people that we have on site now that are able to work with the students individually. In my time here, this is my 17th year doing this, I've seen a huge increase in students at the middle level that are experiencing mental health difficulties. And so it's truly, I'm thankful that we have these supports in place for the students. We do small groups, we do check-ins. I check in with a number of students daily just to make sure that everything's okay. But we still struggle with it. You know, we only got to 67%, and we wanted to get to 80 based on the BIMUS. And so we're going to continue to do that. The other part of that, too, is the attendance piece. We're struggling with getting students to attend on a regular basis. If we can get them into our building, then we can support them both academically and mentally. And so one of the things that we're looking at doing is I'm actually going to a conference this summer that addresses the attendance of middle-aged students, and we're going to see different programming and what they have out there that we can use to entice them to come to school and to get them attending on a more regular basis. So that's what we have here for Liverpool Middle School. It was a good year. It was a good year. So I'm looking forward to next year a lot. So.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Carolyn Gutowski, Dean of Students. I'm here for Maura White, who's unfortunately unable to be here today. So I'm here to show all of the great things going on at Morgan Road Middle School this past year. And I echo a lot of what my colleagues have said, but you know, unique to our building, we're very proud of the teachers, the staff, and the students for a super successful year. I feel like we're back from COVID and we're back to learning again. I just came back from an awesome field trip to Green Lakes today, and it was just such a great experience to see the joy in the students and really just that and the 8th grade dance, just them enjoying time together, being kids, valuing and appreciating just being middle school students and kind of capping off their 8th grade year. So much joy in the walls of our buildings, and so glad to be a part of that. We're very proud of the teachers and the staff at the school. As a community, we really put the focus on developing those lifelong learners as we talk about getting back to academics. So we really put emphasis on that, and it's really just the teachers and the staff in our building who do that hard work every day in the trenches and make that possible for our students. With the use of our professional learning teams, as we've discussed, we've really analyzed assessments, moving forward with the collaborative development assessment, and made exceptional progress in this area, developing common formative assessments, essential standards. We set an ambitious goal in September to raise the percentage of students who tested at or above grade level in the Ames Web assessment by 5% in the spring. And we're happy to report that our 6th grade students doubled that, more than doubled it, and they achieved at 12%. Our 7th grade students increased by 6%, and our 8th grade students by 10%. So the average building increase in that area was 9%. We set a math goal as well in September to increase the number of students testing at or above grade level in iReady by 15%. And by our spring benchmark, 6th grade students testing at or above grade level increased by 35%, which is just unbelievable. And again, a testament to our awesome building staff. 7th grade by 15% and 8th grade by 12%. So as a school, the increase in math was 21% average. On the slide on my left, you can see photos from several of the great student experiences offered at Morgan Road Middle School. We really value, as my colleagues have said, authentic learning experiences. With the help of Sydney Federal Credit Union this year, the 8th grade students participated in Mad City Money, which was just a great experience to be a part of. They really immersed them in what it is like to live in the real world. They had to pay rent. They had to make value judgments on what they wanted to purchase. And they saw how difficult the real world might be. So it was great to just be able to provide that authentic experience with loads of parent volunteers as we continue to place emphasis on developing that parent connection within the walls of our school. Our STEAM students met with and learned from the entrepreneurs of Salt City Market, one of the great field trips that they were able to go on this year, in a lesson of teaching kitchen as a project launch for their restaurant wars. And in the fall, they went to the MOST to explore the Mars exhibits and space films to launch their Colonization of Mars project, which was, again, just an awesome, authentic experience for them to be a part of. Our 7th grade students traveled to Fort Stanwix, which I was able to join them on, another great experience for those students. And our 6th grade students worked heavily on team building this year. They were able to go to Camp Tallulah, run by retired Liverpool earth science teacher Jeff Peniston, which was a great day, always a great experience for them. We had the Echoes writing workshop, the Rev Theater production of student work at the LHS auditorium. The National English Honor Society students participated in the federal court outreach program towards Syracuse University, another great opportunity. And they met with former Onondaga County Chief Medical Examiner and author Dr. Mary Jumbelik, a forensic pathologist. Two separate groups of students went to the SRC Research Center, one in September and one in March, to explore careers in engineering. And Lauren Rufo of the McMahon Ryan Child Advocacy Center spoke to all 3 grade levels about a really important topic, the safe use of technology and being responsible digital citizens. We as well worked in the Check and Connect program. We paired vulnerable students up with mentors in the building, really helped with the social emotional needs. We continue to try to build capacity in that area. Our mental health and wellness goal was to decrease the number of students responding to the BIMAS assessment in the fall by a high risk by 80% in the spring assessment. And we're happy to report that our interventions were largely successful by reducing this by 61%, which is still a great improvement, but as Mr. Musey, I'll echo what he said, it allows for some growth in that area. And the Smart Pass system was wildly successful in our building. It really cut down on those unstructured incidents in the hallways. And you know, when you hold students accountable to a certain amount of time, they really adhere to that. So just the success of that. And a reduction of 15% by referrals, largely due to that. I want to thank our school district, our leadership in the district office and in the Board of Education, and our community for continuing to support these programs and the important work that we do every day. We will continue to work towards developing strong citizens, strong lifelong learners with a love of learning and a deep sense of pride in the community they come from. So thank you for your attention and time today.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Stacy Rebecki. I am the very proud principal at Soule Road Middle School. I, as well as my colleagues have done, I will share with you the growth that we have made as a team. But more importantly, I will also share with you the work behind that and some of the initiatives and experiences that my staff and students have had this year. So beginning with Ames Web. As my colleagues shared, the goal was to increase the number of students who are proficient in ELA by 5%. As a building, we were able to do that by almost increase of 12%. We contribute our work in ELA to not only their tireless efforts in implementing our Tier 1 curriculum, but also two very important initiatives at Soule Road this year. One being a building-wide focus on vocabulary instruction. Our ELA teachers came to me at the end of last year begging for an opportunity. They've always wanted to do this. They wanted to be able to say that every week, every child at Soule Road Middle School will learn the same 5 vocabulary words or word parts for that week. These words are explicitly taught in their ELA classroom. They are then reinforced on our daily announcements as well as in the other content classes. At the end of the marking period, the children are assessed on their knowledge and mastery of these vocabulary words. They are then celebrated. We do have a very cool championship Power Words wrestling belt, which is very middle school appropriate, that the grade level who master the most amount of words get to own for the marking period. We also acknowledge students who have demonstrated mastery through celebrations such as ice cream parties. We just had one today. And the second initiative that is very near and dear to my heart is the implementation of a walk to read model at the middle level. So we have a variety of students with diverse needs in ELA. We have an increasing ENL population. We have our special education population. We pretty much have every program special ed-wise in our building. And so we needed an opportunity for our students to have explicit intervention based on their individual needs. We have an amazing reading teacher who's only one person, and she does a phenomenal job teaching UFly and teaching the rewards intervention, but it wasn't enough. So for one period of day, multiple special education teachers teach at the same time, and they have students, grades 6 through 8, that we mix based on their need and their intervention need, ENL students, special education students, and they're in front of a specialist who is letters trained, providing this intervention. So for us, that is something that is huge. It was a lot of work for our middle level teachers and a lot of uncomfortableness of needing to be able to collaborate and teach children who they don't typically have in their classrooms. The same for math. Again, you'll see amazing growth for math. We are really, really proud of our math efforts at Soule Road. We have math teachers who are co-teaching willingly on their own in their math classrooms, 7th and 8th grade teachers. And we can proudly say that the data has shown some amazing growth in the area of math. Authentic learning experiences, I'll echo a lot of the same experiences that the other 3 buildings have had, which we're very proud to be able to say that. Our students also went to SU for the STEM of Sports Academy, the Micron Chip Camp, but some things that are unique to Soule Road. We have an SRM Career Day that has been a long-standing tradition at SRM and has recently made a comeback. This past winter, we had, and it was actually in May, this past spring, we had over 30 professionals that volunteered their time that came to Soule Road to present on their career field and to teach the students what it takes to be in that career field, kind of some of information on what they would need to do in terms of education and training. Students were able to choose 4 different sessions to attend. We had radio hosts from 93Q, we had news anchors, we had cosmetologists, bakers, people from the business world. So you'll see some of the pictures up there of our girls practicing their cosmetology skills. It's a really, really great day at Soule Road, and we're always recruiting if you're interested for next spring. Another opportunity, Township 5 business partnerships. So this was an 8th grade field trip that we did this winter where our school counselors went out and partnered with the various businesses in Township 5. Students were then able to go to the facility, meet with the workers there, tour the facilities, A lot of our students will say they loved going to Buffalo Wild Wings or Costco, going behind the scenes in the kitchens. They really loved that. And we're also proud to say that we took the most amount of field trips this year than we have in the past 3 years that I've been here. So we're hoping to just continue that and get our students out even more. And one last authentic learning experience that I really want to highlight is Teresa Carell, 7th grade math teacher, started this program called Champions of Change. This is a peer mentoring program where our own 7th grade students who are doing well academically have volunteered their time to tutor and support their peers during academic advisement. Mrs. Carell agreed to do this for one marking period 3. It was so successful that not only did we decrease our number of course failures by 4% in 7th grade, but the kids were begging for more, and so they were still doing it up until last marking period. So, and on both ends, the students who were doing the tutoring and the students who were being tutored. So we wanted to highlight that. And then I will also say that an area that we need to continue to work on as a team and as a building is the area of mental health and SEL support. I mentioned Soule Road has become very diverse. We have students from different walks of life and who are coming to us with a variety of life experiences. We have an amazing, I'll argue, one of the best support teams out there, but it's very, very important work, and the reality is that the need is increasing. So we use Mark Heron for our check and connects. We do suspension re-entry meetings with students. We try to incorporate more positive practices in terms of discipline, but we definitely have some room to grow here, and so I'm hopeful that next year we can incorporate more of a Tier 1 SEL instruction and kind of focus on that intervention piece, just as we have with our ELA and math data. And that's it for me.
Thank you so much. So, as you saw and heard, there's a lot that goes on in middle schools. If you spend any time in the middle schools, you'll see that there's a lot of movement. And some of the things that you'll notice if you spend enough time in each of the middle schools is that there are a number of staff members who go above and beyond to build relationships with students outside of the classroom to try to help with some of the issues that they're seeing that are brought into the classroom. They're building relationships with them, they're getting to know them, they're connecting them with resources, they're communicating with the administrative team and the other support team. You can't say enough about the support teams in the buildings. And so that's something really great to see. This team, including Maura, they do a great job of making sure that there are equitable opportunities for the students at all the buildings in terms of authentic learning experiences. They do a great job of coming to our meetings, of thinking ahead, trying to collaborate, supporting each other, bringing ideas, and being reflective in their practice. And it takes all of that in order to make this kind of stuff happen. And so I just wanted to say I really appreciate what you guys do to help each other and to keep pushing yourself to do more. And the way you connect with your staff, you can see the one thing that I like most about our middle schools is that each one has a unique personality. Even though they do a lot of things the same, if you spend enough time in each building, you can feel the difference, and they all feel good in their own specific way. Like Principal Rebecca said, each demographic is a little bit different. And so when you're in there, you can see the difference, and you can feel the difference in how the staff and the administrators respond to what the needs of the kids are and the needs of the staff. We hear a lot about that kids are different and they have a lot more struggles and challenges and they need a lot more. And that puts a lot of emphasis on what our staff have to do to try to meet those needs. And people are really trying their best to support the staff. And this is, at the district level all the way up to approval of opportunities for people to get together and plan for, how to improve their practice or just, revise and refresh their practices to meet the needs of today. And so we appreciate all of that. Again, thank you to this team, their support teams, and all of the staff. If you spend enough time in the buildings, you'll see people grabbing kids in the hallway, talking to them, supporting them, bringing them to where they need to go, and to trying to do their best to help these schools realize their goals. And so congratulations on these goals. First of all, this is amazing work. And with being a sole leader in the building, I think you should be very proud of that work. So thank you. Any questions for Principal Hunter?
Quick questions from board members, anyone?
I do. I have a couple.
Ms. Brissett?
First, I just want to say congratulations on your growth. It's been amazing to see that. Mr. Hunter, thank you for always taking the PTO's ideas and running with it, and especially the one that we said, we're going to get a bunch of kids, they're going to run around the building, and we're going to throw colored dye at them. And you were on board, so thank you for that. Mr. Armstrong, and also for transportation, for all those field trips that we set up and they go and they take our students, it's fantastic. So thanks for that. And Mr. Armstrong, I just have a question because it comes to me a lot, is the STEAM program. How are those students chosen, and is there a cap?
So there's a process that the team gets together to talk about in terms of application, interviews, and then also collaboration from Principal White and the principals of the students that apply. And so they're discussing students on a case-by-case basis, and we're working with Assistant Superintendent Dolson to try to fill as many seats as we can and give kids opportunities at the STEAM program. And so there are times where on paper it looks like students might not be the right kind of fit, or they might not meet the criteria, and that's where we have those personal discussions. We advocate for kids. We're looking to provide opportunities for students who, they may not look like they meet the criteria on paper, but maybe they just need that different experience to come to school more often or to cut down on their behaviors. And so we've seen a huge increase in the ability of students who may not make it through the paper screening to actually getting in the building. It's with collaboration with the principals.
Is there a cap for students there? I mean,
we're trying to meet, I think we're up to 90 kids, and we're trying to be around 100 kids.
Oh,
around
great.
100 kids.
okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yep.
Mr. Jones?
Really quickly, to the old guy up there, Mr. Musey, self-proclaimed old guy. I just want to say that the first place second place, we won't get into the first place. The second place I taught in New York State after coming back from teaching in the South for several years was in his building, Soule Road Liverpool Middle School. I went to Soule Road. And I just want to say that anyone who wants to know how a middle school should be run needs to talk to Mr. Musey, because this gentleman could teach a master class on how it's done. Because, I mean, talk about a culture shock and just a massive night and day shift from what I was experiencing as a teacher in some other places, and when I came to Liverpool Middle School to teach. You do a great job, and I know the rest of you do as well from my time in your building. So congratulations to you on this data, to all of you. Thank you for what you do. This last one is kind of a question which I'm not going to ask for anyone to respond to, because I don't want to put you in an awkward position, but maybe just one that we can all think about. I took notes, and it sounded like 3 out of the 4 buildings recognize that they are suffering with some challenges when it comes to mental health supports and social emotional support. And I just would ask everyone in a decision-making position to ask themselves if now is the time to be cutting MTSS TAs in these buildings, because to me the answer is an obvious no. But I'm glad that we are making progress on that end, and I think we're going to discuss it tonight, but I hope that we do some more, because as you pointed out, 3 of you pointed out, we've got a lot of work to do for these kids when it comes to MTSS supports and social emotional learning.
And I would say that even though Chestnut came close to the goal, we still have a high need. It's just our staff, our counselors, our social worker, they really do the run of that work and really take it on. So again, it's nothing that I do, but really they take all those kids on. So we still would have the same need. I know you're not trying to point that out, but just, yes, we did find success in what we were doing, but that goes into all those people having time or taking time away from helping other kids to make sure that we're grabbing those kids we've identified in the fall to try to get them off by the spring.
And just to clarify, not to discount what the folks on the ground in these buildings are doing, because they're doing phenomenal work. It's just that I'm worried about having any reduction in support in this this area. They're doing amazing things, and the data shows it.
Okay. Anyone else? Ms. Melnick?
I just want to say to Mrs. Rebecki, thank you for everything you've done for my son. He's an 8th grader, and I can attest to all of the authentic learning experiences. His favorite was the SU STEM of Sport Academy. Couldn't stop talking about it. He's still talking about it. So I just wanted to say great job and thank you.
Great. Any other board members? No? Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Next, we have policy review, number 5. 5.1, these are proposed policy revisions. This is the second reading. The first one, 1220, was just a revision based on the ex officio student board member law that went into place. 7513, 7521 are both regarding medical situations. We did ask, and I believe we will be having a presentation on, well, at least a chance to hear from our staff members on how those will be implemented. Is that all right?
Mr. Taylor, yeah. Jason Taylor is going to.
Oh, okay. Are there any questions on 7513 or 7521 as far as how these are going to be implemented? Ms. Chilbert, did you have some questions on there? No? No? Okay. All right, well, if nobody has any questions, we'll keep moving. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Proposed new policies, second reading. There's the 3311, notification of disclosure of employee disciplinary records. This is a standard one we talked about last time. 5685 is the maximum temperature for school buildings and indoor facilities, proposed new policy, kind of timely. And I think there were questions about how this might be implemented. Are there still questions on that? Yes, Mr. Jones?
Just a quick, because I had this question sent to me via email and some other folks. And correct me if I'm reading this wrong, but my understanding of the law is that it doesn't address anything with school bus rides. I'm understanding that correct? Yeah, I don't know if you all saw it, but we had a bus driver that showed a thermometer reading of over 100 degrees on their bus today. And I know we're not required to do anything by law, but if that's, I would really appreciate it if we could look at something that we could do to help out the folks at transportation on these buses, especially on hot days like this, to get that temperature down, because, I mean, I don't think anyone's performing their best at over 100 degrees on a metal tube for 4+ hours. But yeah, if we could just maybe earmark that concern for the future.
Sure. Ms. Martin?
Do our buses not have air conditioning? No. Okay.
Anyone else? Questions on this? No? Okay. I think the interesting part of this is the room temperature is taken in a shaded location 3 feet above the floor near the center of the room. So I don't know exactly. I don't know where that what that will amount to, but I think the other big thing is this is not. This does not provide for students to be sent home, right? This is just if there's a classroom that is above 88 degrees, then we need to move them to a location that is not 88 degrees. So I think there's a little confusion over what exactly this entails. Ms. Chilbert?
I can't remember what I was just reading there, Dave. It was something from NISBA. I might have been reading it in the NISBA news. But they're adding like a little thing that says when practical. So they are going to change. And I don't have my glasses, so I can't tell you.
It's okay.
It says it on this one. But I know they're in the So that's why, like I said, I think there was like a small little change that might come through that says when practical.
It is already in the,
on this one?
yeah. Under implementation plan, when the temperature reaches 88 degrees Fahrenheit, district will remove students and staff from educational and support services spaces when the room temperature reaches 88 degrees Fahrenheit where practicable.
Okay.
So that
So
even
it's ambiguous
confuses
no
it even
matter
more.
what. Yeah, it's so ambiguous. So.
So, again, this was recommended by our Erie One BOCES policy service. We didn't create this on our own, so. Any other questions on that? No? Okay. The next one, 5.3, it did not go through the policy committee yet, and it probably won't because it needs to be in place by August 1st, I believe, due to the new state law. It is policy 7316, use of internet-enabled devices during the school day. Obviously, we have had some different policies in our buildings for a number of years now regarding cell phone use, and thanks to, I believe it was Mr. Woodcock that put it in place at the high school a few years ago, and it was so successful. No, Ms. O'Brien, okay. So, but this is allowing, providing for the to be in line with the law that was passed in the most recent session of the legislature. So are there any questions on this? This is the first reading, so we do have some time, but Ms. Martin?
So I know some students, IEPs, 504s do require them to utilize devices or to be able to call home, those kinds of things. If it's written into a plan, they'll still have access to those interventions within this policy?
I would imagine they have to under the law.
says that.
Is it in there? Okay. Good. Yep. Ms. Brissette?
I know that elementary and the middle school, they put their phones in the lockers, but what is the high school going to look like? I've had a lot of parents ask, like, are they going to take the phones right when they come in the door, or do we have any idea, or are we still working that out?
So one of the things we're required to do is survey our community, which we've done. We have a survey that's out there. I've shared some of the results, the initial results with the board through the CARE report on Friday. It's very telling that the overwhelming majority of folks who've responded, and it's over 700 responses as of yesterday, were about 65 against the ban and about 35 for the ban. So one of the things that we do have as a school district, we have some leeway in how we operationalize it. I think one of the things that Ms. O'Brien and her staff are looking at is how do they build on the success that they've had with the policy that they've currently used to meet the goal of what the new policy says. That doesn't necessarily mean we have to buy pouches and have students enter school and put it in a pouch and carry it around all day. I think the sentiment with the BOCES superintendents is that if your school's doing the intent of the law, then you should stick with doing the intent of the law. If you need to make some modifications to that, you can. I do know that state ed, that had no part in this policy, is offering absolutely no opinion on what school districts should do in regard to the governor's policy. So I'm just waiting for the feedback from the community on the questionnaire that we have out. We gave them to the 30th. I think that'll really help inform us, especially at the high school, because we're going to be going under a renovation project in the stacks, which is going to limit our ability for students to use lockers, which will then limit our ability for students to house cell phones or internet-enabled devices in lockers. So I think this is still kind of a work in progress. I think if we are at least aware of the intent of the law and can maybe find a way to continue to do what we've done successfully and meet those expectations, that I think we're going to be fine.
Mr. Salazzo?
Yeah, one thing that as I'm reading through this, that I'm not seeing under the section where where students are permitted is within regards to medical needs. I know that some people have devices like I do, which is like, I've ever seen a little white dot on my arm. It measures insulin or blood sugar levels, and a lot of those are controlled by internet-enabled devices. So I don't know if we can create or make an addition to that for some sort of like medical amendment. I don't know how that would work.
I think
but
that's in the policy.
is it?
Yeah.
I think that would be, is that section 504, or is that a different?
Is that a 504? Okay. I just want to make sure that we're covered there and that we have some allowances for those types of students.
The legislation itself also like points out and has a carve out for exactly that, like students who have medical needs, the legislation allows them explicitly to keep those. In fact, it says that a school district cannot ban those. So it's, yeah, we wouldn't be able to do that even if we were crazy enough to. So that's a great consideration.
Probably someone that has one of those, has a situation like that, should be notified they need to get a 504 plan then, if that's the case.
I mean, looking at the policy, there are a lot of leeways to make decisions about things. I mean, one of them is on a case-by-case basis. Anyone can really make the decision. It sounds like there just sort of has to be a
Or school
reason for the
counselor.
access to it. Like teachers can still allow kids to get on them, all of that.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. That'll be on July 8th. 6.1, 2024-2025 internal audit report. Do we have auditors here with us tonight? No? No. Okay. Does someone from the audit committee want to walk us through any part of this?
I wasn't prepared to, but I can.
Why aren't they here?
I don't know. I don't think they came last year. I don't think they come unless we ask. No, D'Arcangelo and Company. I think the important part would be probably the corrective action plan to look at. This is what we have to submit to the state to say we are in compliance with these things that have been noticed.
So I can just add to the audit, the actual audit, the auditors are going to be here in October. They were here a few weeks ago to initially start the process, but they're actually going to be here in, did they say late September, early October, where they're going to be coming back? They were waiting for, they didn't want to start early because they were waiting for something at the state level to happen with that new law. And
I think they said September, but it was going to be
yeah.
later in September.
So the auditor's report will be, they're still working on their report.
So
In fact,
that's-
they've just started the report.
That's the external audit through
Yeah.
Bonadio.
Yes.
That will be coming. Yep. So I would just say, if anyone has any questions on parts of the corrective action plan, please send them in. Do you want to go through anything, or?
I honestly don't really remember anything
okay.
coming out of it that there were some like IT things that seemed to be like everything was on top of. Something about, hold on, I wrote down a couple things. We were going to have to come up with a cloud-based acceptable use policy that was going to get approved by us. There really wasn't anything striking in the internal audit like that even came up as needing a major corrective action.
Yeah, I think most of what would have came up was already being addressed.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you'll see in the corrective action plan, that there's kind of, over time, there's been different things on IT and
something about updating patches, that there were some things that had gotten updated and we hadn't re-looked at the patches for that, but I'm not an IT person, so I'm not 100% sure. But like, it was because we had gotten a new system, one of the recommendations was to like update the patches.
Okay.
The whole corrective action is
Yeah, it was the technology audit focus. That was the focus.
And everything that came up was very minor and already was being addressed.
Good. Okay. Any questions on that from anyone? If you do, send them in, and we'll send them into the administration. Okay? All right, 6.2. Interim Superintendent Brian Nolan will provide the Board of Education with an overview on the district's recommendation for the 24-25 fund balance and the 25 reserve plan.
Well, I'll talk over it. If the board could open up the memo document so that you can see these numbers, I'm going to be talking about numbers, and it would probably be helpful if you have them in front of you. It's on the. So the first item I'll share with you is that the audit committee has reviewed this information, and they're in concurrence with what will be presented. So the district has a $7,692,159 revenue over expenditures for the year. That funding, that dollar amount mainly comes from the appropriation side of the general fund. Was underspent by 1.3 million, and the anticipated under expenditures represented mostly from savings on utilities. The excess is mostly estimated shortage in payroll and benefits. So the good news is that the $7,692,159 is then going to be assigned to our fund balance and reserves, and I'll try to break that up to you. If the board's looking at it, the recommendation from the audit committee was to edit this document, the chart itself, and you'll see that there's 4 categories over on the left side: unassigned, assigned, restricted, and non-spendable. So let me talk about unassigned first. So the unassigned is funding that should be 4% above the budget. It can't exceed 4% of the budget, so that of the reserve of the $7,600,000 amount, there will be $341,000 assigned to the unassigned fund balance to bring it up to $8,120,193, which is 4% of our budget of $203 million. Any questions on that? So that's unassigned, and it can only be 4% of the budget, and that's what the amount will be. If we go down to the assigned area, if you all recall our budget for the 25-26 school year, we took $5 million out of reserve, and we are now putting $5 million. So the $5 million of the $7,692,000 is towards the 25-26 budget. If you look at the reserve for encumbrances, that's $550,000. Those are expenses that are still they're unencumbered. We're waiting to be billed, or we're in the process of paying those bills. But that money has to be there so we can pay those bills when they come in. The next amount is the tax certiorari reserve. So there's $650,000 6,000 from the savings that will be placed there. As you know, Liverpool has a lot of businesses that have tax allowances, and so we have to make sure we have enough funds set aside to meet those requests when they come up. And so that's where that, under the assigned, or under the restricted is. So those funds are restricted for the tax surcharge. The other restricted fund that we are putting money in is the capital reserve. As you all know, last year's budget, there was a significant amount of funds that were transferred out of the capital reserve fund for the school budget itself. So we're trying to restore some of those funds this year. So 1.194 million will be set aside and put into the capital reserve fund. As you know, the capital reserve fund is to allow the school district to carry out capital projects, and you have to have that money ready and available so that when you have a project come up, you have the money ready to do that. We've had a couple capital projects recently and had to use those funds. So just to break it down quickly for you, of the 7,692,159, $5 million is going towards the 25-26 budget. 550 is reserved for the encumbrances that we still may have. 341,430 is to the unassigned fund balance, which is the 4%. 606,000 is assigned to the tax surcharge reserve, and the 1.194 is to the capital reserve. I think that just about explains everything that is on the memo here. Any questions?
Ms. Martin?
I would just add to, just to continue to clarify, when things are in that restricted bucket, they can't be put, that money can't be transferred anywhere outside of that restricted line. So if there's less spent on that line, it has to stay in there. That it's restricted to that type of spending.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Jones?
So for those of us who aren't as savvy budget-wise as Mr. McKeever, this is generally a good situation, you would say. We have an excess of $7.6 million that we are putting into our fund balance, and so we're in good shape.
The audit committee thought that this was healthy, and they didn't have any concerns about it.
Okay, good.
They said that some school districts go above that 4%, and that it's or they go under that 4%, and then they get, is it above or it's?
Well, some people go, I know
If they go
districts go above.
They go
get in trouble.
above, and that they're getting in trouble for that. So like we're able to stay in that line, and they accepted this. The audit committee accepted this and thought we were in a good position.
Good.
And I'm very happy to announce that Kim Vile, our new Assistant Superintendent for Business Operations, will be starting on July 9th, which I plan on sharing a lot of this information with her, and she'll have a lot of answers to most of your questions.
And if you haven't had a chance to review the reserve plan that's in there, in the executive content, that's worthwhile going through.
This last year.
Oh, this is last year's, so it doesn't have the updated information, but still, it gives information on each of the funds and the purposes and where they're at with funding. And that's what is used to inform and create the plan for the fund balance.
I think the good news here is that the district's not on the cliff like many of our counterparts in the county are. We're unprecedented 5 local school budgets were defeated on the first vote. We have school districts that are laying off employees, significant numbers, but we're not in that position. And I think it's much to do with the stewardship of the funds and the taxpayers of Liverpool who support this school district very, very well.
Great. Anything else? No? Okay. Next, we have 6.3, participation in cooperative energy purchasing service, NISMEC. This is how we get our electricity and our natural gas. The resolutions are in board docs. This is a cooperative. We get quite a discounted rate because we pool together with dozens of other school districts in order to get our electricity and natural gas. Are there any questions on this? Mr. McKeever?
Not a question, but something to bookmark for the future. So it's my understanding that participating in this cooperative, and to be clear, when it comes up for action, I'm going to vote yes, we should do it, we have to do it, but that it prevents us from generating any of our own power in-house. So if we wanted to pursue something like rooftop solar
panels.
right, or solar panels that are part of their own farm, under the current terms of this consortium, we can't do it. And I think it's a worthwhile project, little side task for our next superintendent, to try to negotiate that a little bit, because we got to vote this in now. It'll be 3 years before we actually got the sun powering anything in any of our buildings. But given the double-digit rate hikes that are going on in the market, being able to hedge against that with some of our own infrastructure that might also help preserve the longevity of our assets and could also reduce some of the physical footprint we have to maintain. So like if you run a solar farm over like the backfields at Willowfield Elementary, which take forever to mow and don't really get used, right? Something along those lines. You could save money in multiple areas. So something for us to keep in mind. We should approve this now, I think, but down the line, we got to be able to haggle with these people a little bit to say, we'll buy from you after we've created what we can, and we'll buy the rest to meet our need. Just because it's probably one of the biggest drivers percentage-wise in our budget is what we have to pay for this stuff that we have basically no control over.
No, I think it's time to revisit that, definitely. Mr. Salazzo?
Yeah, just to follow on Mr. McKeever's point, National Grid does offer, there's a number of programs where if you have your own type of solar or wind power arrangement, they do buy power back. So it could be something as far as generating of funds, like, that's in times where, you're not using the amount of electricity. So think about how many buildings that we don't run to full capacity during summer months. A lot of that money could contribute back to the grid and actually make the school some money.
So I think we should maybe make a note of it as, I don't know, a board goal or a board project for next year as part of kind of our alternative revenue streams initiative.
Yeah, if I could add one thing.
Yep.
Mr. Jones sent us something a while back. It's not a one-to-one mapping because it was a different state, but I think it was Arkansas that put rooftop panels on. We're able to add 20 more teachers with the cost savings. I mean, it's not chump change, Mr. Salazzo, as you know, right? I mean, and for those of us that participate in rooftop solar, community solar, the savings are significant. It's free electricity. So let's make a note as we look at ways to expand our revenue streams, because I know that our next item here, we're talking about staving off cuts, right? And hopefully we change that conversation in years to come.
Okay, anyone else? No? Okay. 6.4, MTSS TA restoration plan. Mr. Nolan?
Thank you. At the last board meeting, the board had asked the cabinet to go back and restore 8 MTSS TA positions. We presented you with a plan that restores those positions. And if I can just elaborate a little bit. So we, K2 schools will each have 3 MTSS TAs. The 3-5 schools will have 2, and the 6-8 schools will continue to have the one that they've always had. They didn't gain or lose. With the additional supports, and again, I want to thank the board for their support of the teachers on special assignment who support MTSS. We have 4 teachers that are assigned to the K2 buildings. where we have the most need of students who come into kindergarten and first grade, a little less prepared for school than they need to be, and often need to be getting supports at Tier 2 and Tier 3 levels. Again, I thank the board for recognizing the fact that we need to have some certified teachers in those buildings working along with the MTSS TAs to support them in providing the types of interventions at 2 and 3 tiers that those students require. I'd also want to point out that this plan provides some additional support for MTSS in the way of a consultant teacher who will be assigned again to the grade 2, K2 schools, half-time consultant teacher. And the other piece to this plan is we are making the commitment to making sure that the kindergarten classes at the K2 buildings have a teacher's assistant for 1 block a day and a teacher aide for 30 minutes a day. The cabinet feels very strongly that the support that this plan provides is equal to or maybe a little better than the model that we're moving away from. So we did take the recommendation of the board to find the 8 positions to restore, and we've done that.
Ms. Brissett?
Can you just remind me, we're going, K2 is going to have 3 MTSS TAs. What do they have now?
I believe they have 4.
Okay, and 3-5 has, they're going to go to 2. What do they have?
They had 3.
They had 3, so 1 less each building.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Chilbert?
So if they all had 3 and LE is losing 2,
They had 1
they're
more.
only going to have 1, or did they have 5 to start?
They did, yes.
So they had 5 to start, so now.
Yes.
So next year, do we have enough money in our budget that when these schools start having issues, are we going to be able to hire TAs? Because I see us hiring TAs next year, because we just listened to all the 6, 8 principals who are saying that their kids have SEL issues, and those kids are all coming from the elementaries. K2 buildings right now are exploding. So I just want to make sure that we're going to have, because I'm guessing by this time next year, just a prediction, our hires are going to be higher. So then I'm asking, what about all these teachers that just got assigned to other positions in the district, because we had to take them and they all had to go someplace else? Are you going to offer them the job back as a TA before you hire these new TAs? Because I understand it's just one person, but the people I talk to, these buildings they're like little baby powder kegs. They're powder kegs. And the kids they're having hard times. I mean, we just heard 4 principals tonight talk about they couldn't get to their goal for SEL. They couldn't get there. There's only one school that's close. But even they there's issues there. So I know we agreed to it, and I'm only one of 9, but I just want to make sure that when we're hiring unbudgeted positions next year, that we have the money for it, because I don't believe that K2 can go down, and just because one classroom has 30 minutes of instruction, that's going to help the other 3 second grades that you're having meltdowns in 3 other rooms, or kindergartens or first grades, that they're all going to, 30 minutes is going to help. I know that it's really tough, and I know that it's tough for everybody that's trying to figure this out, but I think we also have to look ahead that we may have some unbudgeted positions next year, because taking these away?
Well, let me try to unpack, because you've said a lot there, so I want to try to do the best I can to try to answer. So let me say first and foremost that the best that we can provide students is high quality tier 1 instruction. So we got to make sure we hire the best teachers that we can hire. We got to make sure we keep and retain the great teachers that we have. And we have to look at, I think, some different models on how we provide tier level instruction. We've already started having the conversation with the leadership with Alpha and the cabinet and our executive team on what that could look like. I think, to your point, and the board has said this consistently since I've been here, that our students are presenting challenges that haven't been challenges in the past, and the needs are greater, and we just can't keep working the same system that we have and thinking we're going to get different results when we know that we have students who present far more challenges than they did pre-COVID. So I think we can't just keep putting a Band-Aid on the model that maybe doesn't work anymore. And I just want to point out that of the 24 positions that are funded for the MTSS, 12 of them are funded through grants that is probably going to go away next year. So that's something else that you have to consider. But I want to, because I'm not going to be here that much longer, but I want to share this with the board. I think it's very, very important that you're at the end of your 5-year strategic plan. You have a new superintendent coming in. You have great people who work here in this district, from district office to school-based people. You have a tremendous teachers union. You have a tremendous administrator unit. You have a lot of smart, creative people that I think, if they're given the opportunity to be able to collaborate, cooperate, and have people listen to them, that I think that they could have some really unique approaches on how to meet the needs of this group of students that we're seeing that are presenting us with a lot of challenges. I'm going to go back and say it again. We have kids coming to kindergarten who aren't prepared to come to kindergarten because we don't have quality UPK. And part of the reason is because we don't have providers out there providing UPK, right? But we could hire a whole department for just pre-K in this district to get 500 kids that we know are in the cohort at 4 years old, who would help us tremendously if we got them in UPK at 4, so that they learned how to do school. So when they come to kindergarten, they're not laying on the floor, they're not misbehaving, they're not kicking, they're not screaming, they're not biting people, right? Because those are the behaviors we see. We can't think that the current model we have is going to be the model that we continue to do, thinking that we're going to get something different, because that's not going to work for us. And I think that's not for me to decide. I'm just trying to inform the board that we can keep talking about the model we have, and we got to keep putting the Band-Aid on it. But the Band-Aids are getting ripped off, and we see it every day. And we need a new model. We need a not a Band-Aid. We need a triage.
And I totally agree with you. And I think we have not just, the teachers do have ideas. They do have plenty of ideas. And I talked to many, many of them. So I am not saying that it's a Band-Aid. That is not what I'm saying. That's what you've been saying all year, that our model is a Band-Aid. But I have never said that it's a Band-Aid. And I'm not saying that we have to try. I'm 100% for trying something different. But you also have to remember that this new thing that they're coming up with might not work either. And we'll be discussing this with the new superintendent. That will be their job when they come in, that they can work with their cabinet and do that. So please don't say that, you get so emotional about it. I am just as emotional about, you get a little.
I didn't think I was emotional. I apologize if everyone thought anybody thinks I'm emotional. I'm a little Irish. That's my problem. You should see me coach basketball.
Whatever. Okay.
All right.
something-
Mr. Salazzo, then Ms. Brissette.
That's okay. I'll
You're
yield there.
not gonna tell me I'm emotional. Come on.
Mr. Nolan, I agree with you. My only concern is that if this MTSS TAs was working and it was proven that it was working, my concern was, and still is, why was that even on the topic to dismantle it or change it? So I'm all for, taking off the Band-Aid and trying new things, but if MTSS TAs was working, it's working, why would it even be part of the conversation at the bat table?
So I guess I need to refresh everyone's memory here. On March 11th, there was a $13 million gap for the budget. And the BAT committee diligently worked tirelessly and with a lot of effort to try to be able to close that $13 million gap, having the least impact that it possibly would have on the school district. And they looked at a lot of things. They prioritized. They came back to the board. They asked the board for priorities. They went back to the drawing table. They met again. They went back and forth to try to see how that $13 million gap could be reduced. And they kept coming back and they kept asking the board for priorities. And they did come back and say, look, we need to reduce. And there were options that were put on the table for the board to consider. The only way you're going to close a $13 million gap is you have to make reductions. You either make it in personnel or you make it with programming. So those were tough choices that the BAT committee went through and arrived and presented to the board. Those were not easy decisions that the BAT committee had made and presented to the board. So I think it's important that we understand where we came from in this budget process and what needed to happen to have a balanced budget. So, that's a little reality check there, because we can keep talking about how we got here. How we got here was we had a $13 million gap to close.
I thought it was 16.2.
It was 16.2 in February, but when I got here in March, it was 13 million.
Okay, and then our athletic budget went up over 35%, correct?
So, we can continue to talk about the athletic department, but let's be real about that too. So you were paying $150,000 a year to SOS for athletic trainers that didn't really provide the service that the school district wanted.
Excuse me,
So-
is that part of the athletic budget? I thought that was ALPHA part for non-instructional. Am I incorrect?
So let me finish. So you had budgeted $150,000 to pay SOS to provide athletic training services for the school district, which didn't do the job that was required of our athletic department. So the thought, and this was before I got here, if we could hire our own athletic trainers so that they worked for us and that we had control of when they worked and who they worked for and how they worked, that's the process we should take. So you took the $150,000 out of one budget and you put that into the athletic budget to be able to hire, and we were able to hire 2 trainers. So when you talk about the budget going up 35%, yeah, it went up 35% because you took $150,000 out of this one budget line and you put it into athletics. So naturally, it's going to go up 35%.
Name too, right? Legends.
I'm sorry.
Legends stuff too, right?
Like
Yes.
50,000.
Yeah.
Mr. Salazzo?
Yeah, I just when you say things that they kept coming, the BAT committee kept coming to us for priorities. We were pretty clear with our priorities back in March. I remember sitting on the other side of the room, and when it was brought to us of making cuts to TAs, I said it was unacceptable. So, and the fact that this came after the budget was passed, again, it's still unacceptable. And I understand we got to make up things somewhere, which is I'm glad to see that we have a compromise. But as I said before, next year I hope that everybody is taking a real hard look at the model we had with Education 2020 and changes that we can make with that, because really we're trying to work within that box right now, and I think it's time to consider whether or not that box still fits.
Mr. Jones?
Well, I'm hearing a lot of what everyone's saying, and first, I think it's worth pointing out that we are, I think it's my mic, that we are getting some of these MTSS TAs back, and I think that that's a good thing, obviously, and I appreciate the work that you all did with us to try and get some of these back. Personally, I think it's a start, but I don't know that this is going to be the end point with this. I hope that we can find other ways to claw some more of those positions back. One of the things that I heard you say is that the Board of Ed was asked for our priorities over and over again, and I know some of this is before you came, but this board in particular has been saying the same acronym over and over and over again when we recommend how we can save money. And over and over and over again, we get rejected. I think we all know what we're talking about. TOSAs. We have said over and over and over again that we want to look at some of these TOSA positions and find ways to move that around, to perhaps put that money, if at all possible, and I know that the funding is screwy with where you can take money from this thing and put it into here and other positions, but I think we need to take as deep a look into this as possible, even if it gets us one or two more TOSAs, or excuse me, one or two more MTSS TAs back. There's got to be something that can be done with these TOSAs, because that's what we've been telling you guys and your predecessors, that we believe we can make some headway on.
So if I can just, there are 14 TOSAs. 4 of them work directly with MTSS TAs at the K-2 schools. There are 5 TOSAs that are, I'll call them deans. 3 of them are working at the high school, 2 of them are working in the middle schools. The deans work directly with student behavior, addressing a lot of the issues that we're talking about that we see with our students. So there's 9 of the 14 TOSAs. 1 TOSA is assigned to the E&L department to support the 17 E&L teachers with curriculum and the support. We have 1 TOSA who is assigned to the pre-K special ed that coordinates all of the paperwork that needs to happen for students who are 4-year-olds who are coming with services, speech, OT, PT, those services. I think I'm up to 11. So there's 11. There's 1 TOSA who is assigned to coordinate all the efforts the district has with students who are out of district placements. That means students who are either in a residential place for school, or could be at as simple as a BOCES program, or even some other type of residential facility. So of the 14, I think I'm up to 13 now. Tell me which one you want to cut.
Well, my question is, are there any of those positions that have a lesser impact on students and teachers than an MTSS TA? If the answer is no, then fine.
I will take
But
a certified teacher.
If I could finish.
Okay.
Thank you. But if the answer is, I'm just asking us to look into this to see if there is someone who is not as front-facing as these MTSS TAs that could potentially be exchanged for an MTSS TA in that funding. And that's a question that I feel like we've asked several times, again, not just of you, but of your predecessors, and we haven't gotten those answers. We haven't had that assessment or evaluation, and I think it's one that we're going to continue to ask for until we get some answers.
Well, I think I've answered that quite a few times. I just don't think the answer is the answer you like to hear. And I'm going to tell you this. I will take a certified trained teacher over 2 MTSS TAs any day of the week. And I think there's not going to be too many people who would refute that. Right? And I'm not downplaying. I was a TA. I started as a TA. I worked 2 years as a TA in the Syracuse City School District before I became a teacher. I understand the role TAs play. I was a TA, so I get it. I understand the importance we play. I thought I went to work every day and worked really hard, so I get it. But I also know when I became a teacher and the training that I received and what I was able to learn through professional development made me much better than I was as a TA. And I just know that if you want to equate the two, I think there's a real issue with thinking that MTSS TAs are going to be the answer to the issues that we face. They're not.
But I think they're more helpful for this problem than someone sitting at the district office and not working with students. That's what I'm trying to say is are there any of these positions that are not working directly with students that we can either put back in the classroom to help provide more teachers, or we can find more resources for other positions? It sounds like we need people with our students to address these MTSS needs and the social emotional learning needs, because we are in a crisis.
So I believe the two that are would be possible that we would look at, because they're not direct student services, so to speak, I believe are both grant funded. Am I correct or wrong? Literacy and math coach, right? Are those the two?
Yeah, you're talking there. I had shared with the board the Title II grant funding is specific to instructional coaching and professional learning for our staff. Yes.
So those are the other two that he didn't mention.
May I just also add, Mr. Jones, one of the concerns that I have that I would love the opportunity to share and talk with the board a little bit more about, when we're talking about the roles that some of our TOSAs play, some that were just described, that work still needs to get done. And the concern with that is that the people who would then be doing the work are our forward-facing teachers or counselors or psychologists. And so that concerns me that if we just think about it in terms of their current role and being forward-facing or student-facing roles, when that work has to get done, staff members will be pulled from their time with students or the needs that students have to get some of that work done. So again, a conversation I would love for us to have in the future, and we can look at each one of these and talk about the specific tasks and roles that they play in the district and see how, if you were to eliminate that role or change that role, where those responsibilities might fall that eventually could take away from our students.
Our HR superintendent has.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry to interject here, but just a couple key points that I think have been brought up, and I'm trying to answer some of your questions. So the reason, one of the reasons MTSS TAs were brought up is because we have a significant need with students coming into kindergarten with special ed. So I think that's one of the things we're forgetting about here. So we have 31 current special education teaching assistant openings going into next year. We had 5 were just recently filled through the displacement process, which is what you talked about, Ms. Chobert. After those 5, so currently there is a transfer posting. So all of our, Scooter's doing that on purpose to me, but all of our special education teaching assistants in the district currently have an opportunity to transfer to another building if they want. That's a process that Rich, myself, and Brian talked about, giving them an opportunity to do that. Then the reason this idea for MTSS TAs came up, not to say they're not needed or wanted or anything like that, but we had 3 MTSS TAs in the model when we were K-6. We had approximately 3. For example, when I was at Morgan Road for 9 years, I had 3 people in my building that were spread across 7 grade levels. When there's fewer grade levels in the building, it's easier to create, RTI groups per se, right? So one of the ideas that we discussed was, we could be a little bit more creative with our RTI groups, minimize that number, and fill a need at the same time so nobody loses a position. We're now able to fill some of these SPED positions. So the big budget impact here that the board is supporting with the change in the MTS plan is we are going to have, right off the bat, we're adding 10 or 9 unbudgeted TA positions to SPED. So Jonna's team, Jonna sat with myself and Casey recently, and we met with her team and basically went through all of our needs coming into kindergarten. So what everybody is saying here is that we have significant needs coming in, and the numbers show that. So after the 31 current openings, we had 5 displacements. That got us down to 26. If this plan is approved tonight, on Friday, I anticipate being able to contact our MTSS TAs. The 6 people without an MTSS position will be offered a SPED position, teaching assistant, which By the way, we'll take from a 30-hour MTSS TA to a 35-hour special education teaching assistant full-time. And the problem now is we still are going to have to hire 20 additional teaching assistants. So the idea with the MTSS, the original plan, was not necessarily to say we don't need anybody, right? I think one of the things in my job being in a lot of different positions is you realize that we need everybody that we have. And as money gets tight, these conversations get tough. But so when we get to 20, so Jana now is faced with, okay, over the summer, we have to hire based on our student needs, based on what IEPs say. We don't have a choice. We have 20 teaching assistants that we're going to have to hire. If we kept with the original MTSS plan, that number would be more like 11. We'd be hiring 11. Now we're going to have to hire 20. We budgeted for 9 in the last, that was our best guess when the last budget presentation, but now that these preschool meetings have happened and all this has taken place, we anticipate having a significant number of special education teaching assistant positions coming to you, a lot of which are going to be already unbudgeted, which is where the budget impact comes from. I hope that answers some of that.
I think that was part of your
Well,
question, right,
that's
Mr.
all we've been looking for. You are the first person that said that. The first. Never did I hear this whole time that we were hiring special ed TAs. I heard that we were going to get that you were eliminating the 20 to move over so they could be special ed. So that's all we want to hear, because if you hire the special ed TAs.
Someone get the door.
Oh, are you okay? Somebody okay? Oh, if we're hiring the special ed TAs, well, that's going to take away a lot of the issues in the classrooms. So no one has said that before. Not take away the issues in the classrooms, but this child now will have a 2-on-1 or a 1-on-1, which then if something happens in the classroom, that child can go out and get the kind of care they need, and then the teacher can still teach. I never heard it explained that way.
Well, and I want to add that
So I appreciate that.
I think that Jana and her team have a really good plan. I think it's one our principals are excited about because of some of the sizes of these ICTs. Some of them are going to be split, and so what we'll do is we do need some more staff in order to make that happen. But we're hopeful that will ease some of the things that we're seeing, especially in our K-2 classrooms that you guys are hearing about. So.
No, I just wish I knew that. Like, that would have been huge, because I wouldn't have been worried so much about MTSS if I had been able to hear that information 2 months ago.
So, where we're at right now, are we comfortable voting on this as our first step action, but saying we want to revisit this with the new superintendent?
Yeah, like I said, I think this is a good first step. I would love for us to find, if there's any way that we can make it better, I just really want us to try it.
Mr. Salazzo?
Yeah, no, I'd agree, and I'd like to say I think my hope is that with some of the changes that we're making with our budget process of meeting more frequently will allow us to kind of see some of these things come in advance and adjust quicker so that these conversations don't have to happen now.
That'd be great. Okay, good. All right, let's go to 6.5 ENL curriculum adoption. They were kind enough to put out these samples that I asked for. I hope you had a chance to at least flip through them a little bit. This is the VISTA program. Were we having someone present on this, or? We don't need to, it's okay.
We didn't.
It's okay. So there's a note. Oh, thank you so much. So there's a memo in there from Dr. Belintfee. It says ENL department has selected and recommends the VISTA higher learning curriculum for implementation in the 25-26 school year. And so you can also see on there the adoption committee. These were the folks that decided to choose this, and it looks like they did quite a comprehensive process and didn't just settle on something because it was what was available and in front of them. They really went and sought out a curriculum that they thought would best serve our students. So any questions on This? No? Okay. Mrs. Knapp, did you want to say anything about this?
Hey, can the board members take the material home so they can look at it, but just get it back to you?
Go ahead, Ms. Gilbert.
And now, in these books, because I could look at them and it would mean nothing, is there like a reading component and a math component? And so they start to recognize, especially, I know I've had teachers tell me that they have kids, just like you said, 12 years old, have never been allowed to go to school because it was too dangerous. So they didn't go, and now they're doing really nothing. So I'm very excited, and I appreciate everyone that helped with this, because I think that's the most important thing. But as long as there's like the reading, the basics, so there's like a whole curriculum, so it doesn't matter when they're coming in, they can follow it. And are they having individual classes for this?
So, yes, so it all depends on the state regs and what the student is required to. So this is more for our standalone email, pull-out group. So 40 minutes, obviously. When we're getting that. Building their efficiency.
Okay, so all teachers will have access to these, and then especially the ENL teachers?
So this will be, these will be taught by the.
Okay.
There is training that curriculum teams ready.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Knapp.
Do you have a question back there you want to add? There's,
Add something?
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Blimfey, say something? Are you saying that would be separate from, it would be separate from regular E&L classes? Is that? Okay. Okay. Great. Great. Thank you very much. Anyone else? No?
If I could just add, so one of the things that Harmony talked about, New York State this year approved this major life event waiver for students who have some life challenge that prevents them from passing a Regents exam to graduate. I've approved 4 of them. 2 of them that I've approved are E&L students. And I just want to share with you, so they're here in the country by themselves. One of the students is actually raising a younger brother. Both students work at Amazon from midnight to 7 in the morning and then come to school at the high school every day. And they're struggling passing a couple Regents exams, but because of the major life waiver, we were able to grant them the ability to graduate and continue to do the good work they're doing with their families and supporting themselves here. So this is really great work, and I give a lot of credit to the E&L department. I give a lot of credit to the high school for being able to take advantage of some of these opportunities for making good things happen for kids.
It's wonderful. Thank you. All right. We will keep going. 6.6, proposed new club, Disc Golf Club. Does anyone have any questions on this? Jason Williams is the advisor.
You think they're going to need an athletic trainer?
For the disc golf club? I don't know. I don't even know what disc golf looks like, to tell you the truth.
So fun.
All right.
So what it is?
Any other?
Frisbee?
Like hit the thing? Okay. Any other questions? No? All right. Let's go to 7.1 public communications. We have one blue sheet. It is Mr. Brian Pratt, whose topic is PTO recognition. And I'm sure he already knows the 3-minute allowance, and we're excited to hear from you.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Board of Ed. Good evening. I'm Brian Pratt, Spanish teacher over at Chestnut Hill. 25 plus years in the district. Many of you I've had as students or had children as students. I'm dating myself, but you get the idea. So, our building, Chestnut, had probably one of the best days this year. I mean, between the walkthroughs, the breakfast, etc. So I'm speaking on behalf of myself and many other people in our building. But you know, you do a thankless job sometimes taking these positions, and you know, it's understandable. But we give accolades and acknowledgement to our staff and students, and that's great that we do. But sometimes we overlook it with our Board of Ed as well. And in particular, today, hopefully not embarrassing the person, but I would like to recognize and commend an individual here who has had a profound impact on our school community, and that's Mrs. Jasenia Brissett. And I want to thank you as a devoted member of the PTO at Chestnut Elementary and Chestnut Middle. Your work does not go unnoticed. I mean, Mrs. Brissett has consistently gone above and beyond in her service to these schools for many years. Now, I was over at Soule Road for 20-some years before the transition of the 2020 movement. And I believe everything does happen for a reason. And demonstrating your exceptional leadership, your tireless dedication to our buildings, and your genuine passion for creating a better educational experience for all our students. Whether you're organizing events, fundraising, which I've bothered you a million times on, coordinating volunteers, or simply offering a supportive presence, many, many times, she does indeed exemplify the very best of what our parent involvement can look like in our school district. And whether it would be assisting the 6th to 8th grade honor roll breakfast, 5th grade moving up ceremony, coordinating food delivery, which was extraordinary, thank you, with the 8th grade Chestnut Hill dance last Friday, or as recent as this morning with assisting with decorating for the CHE and CHM graduate walkthroughs. I mean, this woman is a master at balloon arches. I mean, she could have her own TV reality show. Pass me a blue, pass me an orange. It was comical, and had the kids there. So, Mrs. Brissett, your countless efforts in volunteering your own time with these PTO needs, even when your own children are out of the building, I want to say, and many of you do it as well too, our schools truly, really do appreciate you. And that it's with a true heart that I know you do what you do and the purpose for what you do with PTO and our district. Her contributions have not only strengthened our PTO, but also have enriched the school culture as a whole. So on behalf of many grateful students, parents, myself, and other staff, I'd like to acknowledge you, Mrs. Brissett, for outstanding commitment and service. And I also recognize as well the individuals, Mrs. Jans and Mrs. Crandall, and even DJ. Oh, he disappeared. So, and for what they do. So, for sending a powerful message and the value of a community engagement in education. So, I thank you for your time and your continued support for our schools. Thank you.
7.2, board communications. Mr. McKeever?
The buses are too hot. Matt said it earlier. Can't fix it this year. While we're bookmarking stuff for next year, let's add that to the list. That's all I got. Have a great summer. Congrats on a great year.
Ms. Melnick? Ms. Brissette?
I actually wrote mine down so I wouldn't forget anything, but thank you for that. That means a lot. I love volunteering for this district. As this school year comes to a close, I want to take a moment to sincerely thank each and every person who has supported me throughout this journey. It's been a busy year, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to serve as vice president of this school board. It has truly been an honor to hold this role, but I'm also looking forward to passing the torch to another board member. For the last 2 years, I've continued to pour my heart into serving our district, not just through the board, but as you just heard, through the PTO. We also service Donnellan Drive, but that's okay. I've attended every agenda-setting meeting, every safety and policy committee discussion, and every single board meeting. I've done this because I deeply care, and I was elected to do my due diligence. I couldn't have done this without the support of my amazing children and wonderful husband. More times than I can count, we've tag-teamed to ensure that our kids are supported in every way, while still allowing me to stay involved in what is my passion, which is volunteering for this district. Please know that anytime I speak with intensity or raise concerns, it comes from a place of care. It's never meant to be negative or disrespectful. It's rooting in wanting what is best for our students. Last year, we closed a gap that was was over $8 million. This year, the number doubled to over 16 million. These challenging questions deserve honest conversation and oversight. To our SEIU employees, I apologize for the delay in communication and for the fact that you were told to return your printed contract. I have asked on several occasions, but I have not received a date of when you will receive your new contract. I'm hoping by July 1st. With the upcoming appointment of our 4th superintendent in less than a year, it's clear that we are in a time of transition. I'm very optimistic about the future leader for our district. And I'm also looking forward to attending graduation this week for the 2nd time. And finally, to my fellow board members, I'd like to continue to work together and start focusing more on the students. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brissette. Mr. Jones?
I just wanted to thank one last time before they go, Krish and Eliana. Krish had to go. But thank you both for being just outstanding representatives of your student body and just leading with such grace and class. And you exemplify every week. Well, not every week, but although there was a stretch there where it was every week. Every board meeting, just you exemplify what it is that we're trying to do in this district. And you're just great ambassadors of the amazing job that our staff and teachers do. And it's just been such a pleasure watching the both of you develop into leaders and showcase that leadership. So I wish you both the best going forward, and I hope that you find time to check in with us and let us know how you're doing, because we can't wait to see the bright futures that you lead. I also want to, I believe this is Ms. Downs' last board meeting, right? So I wanted to just, first of all, welcome you back. You were missed. Congratulate you on all your success recently, whether it was your new promotion, your new family member, and just let you know that you're going to be incredibly missed on this board. I've learned a lot from you. I've learned, although I need to do a better job of practicing it, what quiet strength looks like and what quiet wisdom looks like, and deciding when to use your voice and when not to. So I wish you were sticking around a little longer, because I could use some more lessons on that. But thank you for everything you've done for our district. And also to Dollars for Scholars, John Cerrone and Pat Rozier. That was phenomenal. I got the chance to serve on that board also this year with Eliana and Krish. Again, they do amazing things. And it's just so great to see all the things that that they do for our students as well. So, and also ditto, Ms. Brissette, thank you for all that you do for our district as well. And that's all I got.
Ms. Chilbert.
I don't really have to say anything because I thought it was very well said by everyone else. So have a wonderful summer.
Mr. Salazzo.
Just want to say a quick thank you to my fellow board members, the community, and all the administrators for, what I will call a challenging but wonderful year. Really enjoyed my time so far. Excited to continue next year, and looking forward to the changes and transitions that we're going to make.
Ms. Martin.
I just want to echo a lot that's already been said. Everything that Matt said, I would also echo to you. I'm going to miss you. We started together. And then also thank you for sharing all the pictures of the senior walk today. It's been nice to see all the seniors walking through the elementary buildings. My daughter was very excited about it.
So this is, we have our last meeting with Ms. Downs, and we moved our little recognition to the end here, but I just wanted to say we have a plaque for you, but it's not here yet. So we'll have something to get to you, and we'll make sure that it gets delivered to you. But I just want to congratulate you, as Mr. Jones said and Ms. Martin said, on so many exciting things in your life. And I heard Ms. Martin say we started together. I feel a certain kinship with you and with Ms. Martin, because we started at really quite a tumultuous time, right? And so it has been it's been a wild ride, but you have been nothing but the most respectful, consummate professional, and I think there's a lot of people that could learn a lot from the way that you've done this role. So thank you, and I hope you get a piece of cake before you go. So.
Thank you, everyone. You all know I type my notes out. So first, happy Pride Month. Pride is a time to celebrate and honor the diversity, resilience, and contributions of the LGBTQ+ community. As part of the school community, I'm committed to creating a safe, respectful, and inclusive environment where all students feel valued and supported for who they are, staff included. Everyone deserves to belong, to be seen, and to thrive. Even though my time on the board is ending, as a community member, I will continue to advocate and to be an ally. Second, Ms. Brissette brought this up earlier. Congratulations to Liverpool's class of 2025. You are the last warriors. Your hard work, resilience, and dedication have brought you to this exciting milestone. I can't believe it's going to be 20 years for Jen and I. I know. So as you step into this next chapter of your journey, know that you carry with you the strength of your experiences at Liverpool and support of your community. Liverpool is proud of all you've accomplished, and we can't wait to see what your future holds, and we'll see everybody on Thursday. I love going to graduations. Okay, my final reflections. So serving on the Liverpool's Board of Education has been an incredible honor and a deeply rewarding experience. I am truly grateful to the dedicated staff throughout the district who consistently go above and beyond to support our students and make our schools a place of learning, growth, and care. Your commitment does not go unnoticed, and it continues to inspire me. I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Liverpool community for your trust and support during my time on the board. Your engagement, feedback, and shared passion for our schools have made a lasting impact. Together, we've worked toward building a stronger and more inclusive district. I'm proud to have been part of that journey. To the Board of Education, thank you for your commitment to serving our schools and community. It's been an honor to work alongside each of you, collaborating, sharing ideas, and listening to all perspectives as we strive to make thoughtful, student-centered decisions, even though we may not always agree. Our collective efforts have shown the importance of teamwork, open dialogue, and a shared vision for the future of Liverpool. I'm proud of what we have accomplished together. Please continue to do amazing things. Tallulah, Liverpool's newest little legend, can't wait to see what the district has to offer her in a few years. So, Mr. McKeever, I'll be holding you to that pre-K. Keep checking in on that. To the students of Liverpool, it's been a privilege to support you and watch you grow both in and out of the classroom. Your energy, creativity, and perseverance are what makes our schools and districts so special. Never stop believing in your potential and always keep striving to be kind, courageous, and true to yourself. You are the heart of the district and your future is bright. Thank you for this opportunity to serve. Sorry, I know this is long-winded.
One more thing, I got something in the inter-school mail from my former 8th grade English teacher, Mrs. Colabello, who is the yearbook advisor at Morgan Road Middle. And she sent us a copy of their 2025 yearbook, the Centralis, which is, she's an award-winning advisor and has run award-winning yearbook teams. And it says in here, Empire State Scholastic Press Association, they've been awarded honors in photography, layout, special coverage, and theme. And Volume 1 was awarded Gold Best Overall Yearbook. Volume 2 was awarded Overall Bronze and Honorable Mention in Theme at the Fall 2024 ceremony. So I'll pass this around, but I just wanted to thank Mrs. Colabello for sending this over, and she was one of the best English teachers I ever had. So, and I'll give the last word to Ms. Thompson if you have anything you'd like to say.
I didn't plan on saying anything else,
That's okay.
but I don't know. I've had a lot of like fun serving on this board, which I don't think a lot of people would think fun when they think school board necessarily. But like this has just been a really cool opportunity, and like only 2 kids in our district get to do it every year. So it really has been like such an honor. I'm gonna miss it in the summer. Like what am I gonna do now? No, but like it's just been an honor. It's been a blast. I fully trust the new liaisons to do a great job. But yeah, it's just been fun, and I will be watching the live streams, of course. So yeah, it was really exciting to do this, and I don't know, last announcement, graduation Thursday, I don't know.
I appreciate it. And Symphonic Band was great, by the way. It was a great concert. I really enjoyed it. Okay, 8.1, bond resolution authorizing purchase of vehicles. Do I have a motion to approve by roll call vote the resolution authorizing the purchase of vehicles not to exceed $2,993,963 in the issuance of serial bonds as presented? Motion by Ms. Martin, second by Mr. Salazzo. This is a roll call. Aye.
Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Ms. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Brissette?
No.
Mr. McKeever?
Aye.
Ms. Chilbert?
Aye.
Mr. Salazzo?
Aye.
Ms. Melnick?
Nay.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to approve the facilities use agreements as presented, number 8.2. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. McKeever, second by Ms. Melnick. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Thank you. 8.3. Is there a motion to approve the resolution accepting the 2024-2025 internal audit report as presented? Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Martin. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. All hands are raised. Thank you. 8.4, is there a motion to approve the resolution accepting the corrective action plan for the 2024-2025 internal audit as presented? Motion by Mr. Salazzo, second by Ms. Martin. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Thank you. 8.5, is there a motion to approve the recommendation as presented for the 24-25 tentative and estimated fund balance analysis and recommendation and the reserve plan? Motion by Mr. McKeever, second by Ms. Brissette. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Okay, on 8.6, I need a motion to amend the item to say motion to establish July 8th, 2025 as the date of the annual reorg meeting. There's a motion by Ms. Martin, second by Mr. Jones, to amend the date to July 8th. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend?
Is this going to affect, I'm sorry. Is this going to affect the appointment of our superintendent, like timing wise?
I don't know. We might need a special meeting.
Okay.
That's going to depend on some discussion.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Martin?
Is that going to also impact the 15th? 'Cause both of those dates are listed there.
Nope, it has to be held between the 1st and the 15th. Yeah. And this was done because all 9 board members can be present on July 8th. So that's why we're doing it on July 8th. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of amending the item, please raise your hand. All hands are raised. Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the amended number 8.6? Motion by Mr. Salazzo, second by Ms. Chilbert. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Thank you. 8.7, lunch prices. Is there a motion to approve the proposed lunch prices for 2025-2026 as presented? Motion by Ms. Martin, second by Mr. McKeever. Any discussion?
They're still free next year, right? Okay,
Under
just
the,
wanna make
under the
sure.
community eligibility provision, yes.
Okay, thought so. Yeah, right. I just want to make sure.
Anyone else? No? All those in,
Who are these prices for then if it's still free lunch?
we have to set a price.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
That's what Mrs. Marchbank said. Yes, 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 for regulation.
And if we ever needed to reinstate the lunch prices, then we wouldn't want to have to raise lunch prices by $1 or something like that. We want to do it a little bit at a time. And you're actually required to do a small raise as part of
It all came back to me as soon
USDA.
as I asked
No,
the
no
question. I
problem.
remember
No
her
problem.
sitting right
It's a
in
good
second
it's a good
row talking
refresher.
about that. Yep, yep.
Any other discussion on lunch prices? No? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Thank you. 8.8, do I have a motion to accept gifts and grants as submitted? As submitted. Motion by Ms. Melnick, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion?
I have to abstain as if for the PTO.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 hands are raised. All those opposed? All those abstaining? 1 hand is raised. On 8.9, do I have to postpone until the next meeting the approval of the Board of Education meeting schedule for the 25-26 school year? Ms. Chilbert, second by Ms. Martin. Any discussion? We'll figure out some of those other dates and get those on there before we do a formal approval. Okay. All those in favor? All hands are raised. 8.9 has been postponed until the next meeting. 8.10, is there a motion to approve the MTSS TA restoration plan as presented? Motion by Ms. Brissette, second by Mr. McKeever. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Thank you. 8.11, is there a motion to adopt Vista Higher Learning for the ENL curriculum for implementation in the 2025-2026 school year as presented? Motion by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Downs. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Thank you. Announcements. The annual reorg meeting is July 8th at 6 p.m. in the district office. And after that, we will be having public hearings for the code of conduct and the district-wide emergency plan. Those are July 8th, 6 p.m. district office. Do I have a motion to enter executive session to obtain an update from council regarding legal matters and pending litigation? Motion by Ms. Brissette, second by Mr. McKeever. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Thank you. We will take 5 minutes.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay. The time is now 10 p.m. Do I have a motion to return back to public session? Ms. Chilbert, Mr. Jones, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Thank you. I have a resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Liverpool Central School District hereby ratifies 4 agreements to resolve 1 civil court action discussed in executive session, parentheses, the agreements, and be it further resolved that the agreements are hereby incorporated into the minutes of this meeting. Strike that. Let me redo that. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of Liverpool Central School District hereby ratifies 4 agreements to resolve 1 civil court action discussed in executive session. And be it further resolved that the board hereby authorizes the superintendent to execute the agreements on behalf of the district. The settlement agreement should be maintained by the district clerk within the district clerk's office. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Motion by Ms. Brissette, second by Ms. Melnick. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Thank you. Seeing no further business, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Motion by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Downs. Any discussion? All those in favor? All hands are raised. Thank you. We are adjourned 10:02 p.m.